night when all our dancing is through, and the moonbeams fall on roses and dew, perhaps you may even say that you love me too, and let me stay 1 hour with you.
Can you see it? For Italian oregano for the chickens and for the Staffordshire cottage. Hello everyone. Hello my dear friends, mermaid junkies, everyone alike. Okay, so as you could see in the video before this, I was showing you my calendar and how I am now going with someone that is going to format my book, which is, my book was supposed to come out on Beatrix Potter's birthday, which was July 28th. And because I had a massive injury on my shoulder, stretched me so thin, you guys, and that's kind of what I want to talk to you a little bit about, is that why I got to format a person to format my book, as well as listening and heeding to our body and listening to our emotions and feelings of what's going on. Now, I will tell you again, the reason that I got the injury that I did was because I totally believe in that metaphysical reasoning and philosophy as to why we have and certain ailments or certain injuries occur within us. And it is because when we don't listen to our body and our emotions and feelings and what's going on internally, it starts to squish out in different areas of our life. And so I'll give you a perfect example of what happened. Well, as you know, shoulder injury is the feeling like that you can't extend yourself. Like if you look it up, like you could, excuse me, if you go to like Louise Hay or you look up any kind of metaphysical symptoms, I'll tell you to get a particular book, and I'll put it in the link below, is How to Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And that was one of the first books that really implored me to look deeper into what was happening with my body and feelings and emotions and such. And it really was a life-changing book. But the reason that I wanted to talk to you about this is because sometimes we don't necessarily recognize that the things that are occurring with our physical being is actually a complete result of our thoughts and our emotions and feelings. And if we ignore those, they will, like I said, squeeze out in other areas. You think, oh, well, you know, I got a hold on that injury, or I'm recovering from cancer now. But then you start to get, like, you break a hip, or you say, for instance, you were someone that was an alcoholic, and you felt like, okay, well, I quit drinking and I've been sober for so long, and I think I've gotten that under control. When we eliminate one aspect of something, if we still have not dove into the actual reason of why we were drinking and get in touch with our emotions and our feelings in that way, it's going to squeeze out in another area. So whereas, like, say for instance, say you're an alcoholic and you're in recovery, if you don't get a hold on those particular things, it might come out when in another, like I said, it will come out in another area of your life. It will squeeze out, and maybe you'll start having bad eyesight, or maybe you will start shopping an excessive amount, and to make up for that gap. Because when you cut something off, if you don't replace something with like a new habit or a new way of a new belief system in the way that you have always thought, the momentum, you might have stopped the act itself, right? Like drinking or shopping, or maybe you've gotten a hold and now you're on a budget and you're doing really well or something, but it squeezes out in other areas. And so until we can identify with those particular things and really get to the not digging so deep that we don't ever overcome those things, but enough to where we are able to get a handle on having a new thought process with regards to those particular emotions and feelings. And what I mean by that is, like I said, let me go back to my shoulder injury. Now, the way that I hurt my shoulder, and why I got a formatter for my book, right? And my book will be out mid-September. And anyway, it's really been such a relief for me. And I've noticed that my shoulder has started to heal massively quicker. Is that a word or a phrase? Much more quicker now that I have taken care of the emotion, which sometimes we go about life and we don't realize that we're actually experiencing this particular thing. Sometimes we've just been so habitual in a thought that the momentum takes us off, and we don't even realize it until we get an injury or something happens, or we stub our toe, or we fracture our ankle, or we hurt our knee, and so, like I said, the issue, and you guys know that I put myself out there and I'm very vulnerable, but I'm also very capable of looking at myself and saying I'm a work in progress. It's okay that I'm ever evolving and changing. And that's how I want you to perceive your life as well. Not something that's so cut and dry, that's like, you got to get it right or else, you know what I mean? Like, we're never going to get everything just perfect, because we already are so perfect. And if I can try to inspire and aspire women to, and men too, but mostly women to recognize that about themselves, that this is just a progress, this is a journey. It definitely is a journey, not a destination. That we're never going to get this done. We're going to die, and then we're going to reincarnate, and we're going to come back. And keep doing all of these beautiful things in our lives throughout an eternity. And so if we can be so much more less quick to say that we've got to get it perfect, we got to do it this way, we got to do it that way, you know what I mean? And I wonder if that somewhat stems from my childhood, and you may be this way as well, is that if you come from a childhood that is very perfection oriented, I was in two religions, Church of God, Pentecostal, which is a very restrictive, controlling religion. And then I went from that, and I spent 30 years in Mormonism. And so you really start to understand that there is kind of like, you're taught or conditioned into a behavior that fits this criteria. And so the culture of both religions, in my personal experience along my transformational tale, is that If you hear that noise, it's my chickens in the background, but because they're right here at the window. Anyway, is that you come to recognize that there's a particular like box that you need to fit in, and that you need to do it this way and this way and this way, and you check all the boxes off, and this is going to make your life this way. But we know that that doesn't work long term. I mean, if you've ever felt this sense of disguided, like grumbling within your soul, you know that it's because you're trying, it's like someone else is wanting you, an external source is wanting you to control yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like control within the paradigms of this particular way that it's set up, this system, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like this this way of living your life, and if you don't check all the boxes off, or you're not doing it exactly the way A, B, C, D, or Jane Smith does it, or you know what I'm saying, like it's just like you're not doing it right. And that is never, that is not the way God, source, the universe works. It's a complete falsehood in the way that people are so conditioned to believe that you have to do it a particular way. Anyway, okay, so let me get back to my shoulder. So as you guys may know, and like I said, I put myself out there all the time, is that I struggle, well, I shouldn't say struggle, but in the past I have always struggled, and this is a belief that I'm working through. So I'm not there yet, and that's good and that's perfect, because you're seeing my progress, right? Is that I want to get to the point to where I am no longer, I'm no longer affected by my childhood trauma, so to speak. And what I mean by that, and then being in a marriage for 30 years, well, 25, but I was with the person for 30, is that I have a really difficult time. And when I left my marriage from my ex-husband, I had always felt like there was this sense, and it stemmed from my childhood because my mother was very much like this, is that I was a stay-at-home mother. I never worked. I never went to like college, so to speak. And I was so young at the time. And so you evolve and you change. And I'm from the South. I'm from the deep South, actually. And we're pretty much conditioned like, you get pregnant, you have kids, you take them to church on Sunday, you raise them with morals, good church going kid, but it's like very much like the man's the head of the household. I mean, I come from that very restrictive childhood. And so watching my mother be that example to me, and that's not an excuse, not in any way. I'm not a victim at all. It's just a beautiful experience because it's really teaching me, even with Jeffrey, all of these things that's like, I mean, it's exciting for me, but at the same time, it's just like, oh my gosh, I thought I had more of a handle on that. Do you ever get that way? Like, you think you're doing so well in this particular area of your life, and like, oh, I'm killing it. And then you're like, something stumbles in your way and you're like, crap, I still don't have that worked out. But that's okay, because it's teaching us and it's helping us to expand and grow and learn more about ourselves and more about understanding that you can change a condition. And that's what I have done in my past, is to like change a condition because I'm uncomfortable and I don't like feeling what I'm feeling. So I think in order to change and to feel better, because we're always only doing things because we want to feel better. That's the only reason a human does anything, right? I've said that to y'all a million times, but it's true. And so you can take yourself out of a situation, right? You could leave a marriage, but if you still have these vibrational gaps that you've never taken care of, as far as like emotions or vibrational energy, that you have momentum for years and years and years and years, right? I'm getting to the shoulder thing. That's what I'm talking about, is that those things will eventually pop up and they will squish out in other areas. So what happened was, I was feeling really, really stressed, and I wasn't saying anything because I was meditating and I'm doing my thing, and I'm trying to only focus on the positive things. If you have 10 shitty things going on in your life, 10 crappy things going on in your life, and you have one really super, super good thing, focus on the super, super good thing, and then the other ones will fall into place, okay? But I was mowing, and I think I told you guys this on social media, on my Instagram or whatever, is that I was mowing the grass, right? And as much as I love to tend the garden, I like to do the pretty stuff. I like to pick out the pretty roses and place them here and do the kind of like the visual stuff. But the hard labor, like mowing the grass, edging, weeding, blowing, I don't want to really do all that. But because I felt guilty, right? Okay, stemming back to my childhood, is like, that's the way I was conditioned to believe. You do it and you stay at home, Raquel, and you don't have a full-time job, which I do, but no one sees what I'm doing right now, right? They don't see my hustle. The external world and the paradigm of most people only see you're bringing in a paycheck. Let me see the proof, right? That's, you see it and you believe it. Not you believe it until you see it, the opposite way. And so I was feeling guilty. And so I was like, okay, I'll mow the grass and whatever. And I really don't want to do it. And so I was begrudgingly doing it. And I didn't even realize it. I mean, I was just like, ugh, in my mind and in my heart. And that was the emotion, right? And so the universe only goes off of your vibrational energy. The universe, God, source, only goes off of energy. So if you're putting that, like I was putting that energy out into the universe, like, I hate this, I'm gonna get more of it, right? And so what happened was one day, like we have all like, that is industrial, like it's commercial blower and all that kind of stuff, because Jeffrey's a landscaper and, and so we have a blower and it's commercial. And so it's like really high powered, right? Well, I went to pull it, and this was like over a month and a half ago, so that tells you how long, and it just got perpetuatingly worse. And so one day I was blowing off the back patio, going to go blow off, and that thing kicked back on me and pulled my shoulder and like ruined my, like that rotary cuff thing or whatever that's in your shoulder, and completely put me out of commission. And I can still barely lift my arm. Like it's been awful. And my wrist, like if I start to use it for so long, like painting and stuff, it hurts. So I have to go and rest and elevate and packs of ice on it and heat and all that kind of stuff. And so it's just been such a learning experience for me. And so finally, and this was like a month and a half ago and I haven't done it since, is that I told Jeffrey, I said, I don't want to do the yards anymore. And I'm sorry. I mean, I know that may sound like some people may say, well, she stays home all day. She could have time to do it. And I could, but I don't want to. You know what I mean? It's like how many times as women especially, we do things we don't want to do. Either figure out a way to do it with joy and happiness, or listen to your heart and figure out a way to get it done and you not have to do it if you don't want to. The universe will always provide for us. And so everything's always working out for us, you, me, everything, even when it seems like it's a shit job of a show, you know what I mean? And like this has been the situation, it helped me to say, you know what? I trust the universe is going to provide me a way for me to pay for somebody to format my book. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm never going to like completely still be interested in wanting to do it, because I love doing that kind of thing. I want to learn all the things so that I can have no hindrances in my life. Like that's what a real winner does. That's what a person that's not a victim does, is figure out ways to do things hell or high water. You know what I mean? You figure out, stop using excuses. Like I think so many times people use excuses and they play a victim and they argue for their limitations. And so we have to get to the point to where we don't do that in life. It's victimhood is, you're not going to get any of your dreams or desires if you play victim, because the universe listens, the universe reacts to every vibration we're sending out. And so if you're reacting to a victimhood mentality, you're going to get victimhood mentality scenarios all the time in your life, right? People want to use excuses for why they're not doing the things that they want to do. And so if you can blame someone else or play a victim, you have a reason for why you haven't achieved what you wanted to achieve, or why you didn't accomplish that dream or whatever. And the only reason is because you're using someone else or some situation as an excuse for why you aren't where you are. Because why would you ultimately do something like that to yourself, right? If you really wanted a dream, why would you keep yourself from having a dream? We don't intentionally do it, you guys. We don't intentionally, ladies, do it for that reason. We don't know. It's subconscious. We don't realize that we're doing it. But anyway, so what happened was I sat down with Jeffrey and I talked to him and I spoke to him and I said, you know, I really don't want to do the yards, and I'm not going to do the yards. And so, and plus my injury has kept me from doing those. So see, it actually is benefiting me in a way that seems kind of like ebbs and flows around the way that the universe works for us, is that the universe is always creating this weaving effect for us, because the universe, God, source, knows how for us to get the things that we really, really want, ladies, without resistance. So if we have resistance in a particular area, and that's the next step that I'm getting to, is that the universe knows how to weave us in and out to get what we want. And so in actuality, what ended up happening is that I was really feeling victimhood myself in a way, because I was like, you know what, I had accrued to bills before Jeffrey and I ever got married, right? So it's like car insurance for my car and my cell phone, which are both in my name, and I've been very open and honest with you guys about that, and how I'm very much the kind of person that's like, I want everything in my name. I want to have control over it. And not control in a bad way, but control in the way that I'm trying to learn that I'm responsible for myself and that I can take care of myself. And if that sounds kind of weird, I know, like very independent, it's because I came from someone that another relationship, and my dad did it. My dad continues to do it to my mother. And I mean, everybody's on their own journey, and that's fine, but my journey I want to be differently, you know? And so in my previous marriage, I was very much like, it was a power struggle, and I felt like the financial burden of me taking care of myself and being my own independent person was very much a tactic to kind of keep control over me. Like, why would I go anywhere? Because I'm provided for and I have no other way out, kind of thing. Do you know what I'm saying, ladies? And I think that some of you probably could relate greatly to me in this, and that is why I've become extremely independent. Like, no, I'm not getting joint accounts. No, I'm not having someone else on the, you know, like the mortgage is still in my husband's name. Now, if he dies or whatever, I have a quit deed with, you know, me so that I could be able to act in that sense if he passed or something. But I don't want to be on the loan, if that makes any sense. And it's not like, oh my gosh, you're totally like, I mean, you might have your opinion about that, but until you've experienced things in your life, would you understand, you know? And so I think my channel is very much about understanding and us all going through this beautiful journey, these beautiful tales, transformational tales. And along the way, we're learning so much about ourselves and so much about other people and so much about life experience. It's beautiful, and the expansion that it's teaching me is wonderful. Now, so that was the other thing, is that I said, you know, I'm going to start paying, because I felt like I didn't like my feelings every time that the phone bill came due and every time that my insurance came due, that I was burdening Jeffrey. And I know some people might say, well, you're married, it shouldn't be like a burden. And I understand that, and that may be that way for you, but for me, I'm on this journey right now of needing to feel like I can do things on my own. You know, it's like baby steps, you know? And so I said, you know what? I am going to do this on my own. I want to be able to, I'm going to pay my own insurance, and I'm going to pay my own cell phone bill, because I just need to know, I need for myself to know that I can do it, you know? And it doesn't mean that I'm always going to do that. And it doesn't mean I'm and I may always do that. You know what I'm saying? It's really teaching me how to be more of an entrepreneur, a business owner, and being, leading my life in the way that I have control over every single aspect of my life. And that's a beautiful, independent way of feeling. It's a great sense of self-worth and self-love that you're giving to yourself when you can actually do that. And so that's what I wanted to share with you about my formatting. So if you saw that little video before, I was kind of giving you like a little setup of like, oh, I made the appointment and then I scheduled it and everything went wonderful and the price was great. I had the money for it because I had been selling some things off of OfferUp, old mermaid memorabilia and different things like that. And so it's worked out, and it always works out for me. And it's such a beautiful example of how, if you have the deciding factor in your mind and you're going about things with this complete and utter trust in the universe, that the universe will always provide for you, like the universe will always come through, always has your back. And so I hope that this served you. I hope that you are having a wonderful week, and I'm trying to do some little fun things with these videos, so bear with me because I don't know movie editing very much, and so I'm learning all of this on my own, and I feel like I'm doing a fabulous, fantastic job. And so I hope you have a lovely day, and as always, I'm yours until my next swim. Ciao.